Okay, everyone, welcome back to League Winners. Today I will be going over my running back rankings and who I have ranked from 24 to 12. This will be a two-part video series in which I will be going over who I have ranked in my top 24. So today will be 24 to 12, and the part 2 will be 11 to 1. So let's get into it. So if you look at my rankings here, there's a lot of things I factor into my running back rankings. I factor more things into my running backs than I do any other position. And there's a lot to get to here, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. If you have any questions about anything or anything about my rankings, make sure to leave a comment below and I'd be happy to discuss that with you. But for the most part, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. As an honorable mention here at 25, I have DeAndre Swift. Going into a really good offense, an elite pass catcher. I think they plan on using him for what he is, which is an elite pass catcher. So I do think he does have a really good role here. 24, I have James Conner. This offense should be absolutely abysmal, but he should be like the main weapon here. As long as he can stay healthy, he should see a ton of volume. I'd be happy with having him as like a very low-end RB2 or preferably RB3. At 23, I have Rachaad White. He's young. He's a good pass catcher, similar to James Conner. This offense should be absolutely abysmal, but he is the main guy there. Like, I don't think they have anyone else behind him. He should see a ton of work. He's got a low injury score, so he should be able to stay pretty healthy this year. Again, happy with having him as like a low-end RB2, preferably RB3. At number 22, I have David Montgomery. I do think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the main guy here for sure. But I do think David Montgomery has a pretty good role here. I think he jumps into that Jamal Williams role, and you can argue he's a better running back than Jamal Williams. Now, I don't think he sees as many touchdowns as Jamal Williams saw last year, but he still should see quite a few and have a lot of work around the goal line. So happy with having him as my RB2. Number 21, I have Alexander Mattison, a little bit higher than consensus. Depending who you talk to, people either love him or hate him. But, I mean, if you just look at his situation, it's so good. He's the main guy here. He's young. He's got a low injury score. He's shown us in the past that he can be a good pass catcher. With Dalvin Cook not there, he should see like so much work. Dalvin Cook, I think he finished in the top 12 last year for running backs. And now Madison's taking that role over basically all to himself. So I'd be happy with having him as my RB2. I could easily see him finishing in the top 15 this year if all goes well and he stays healthy. At number 20, I have Dameon Pierce. This guy, he's young, he runs hard, he runs mean. I think this offense will be a lot better than what it was last year. He's a decent pass catcher. Happy with having him as my RB2. At 19, I have Miles Sanders. He's still relatively young, a little bit higher on the injury score, going into a new team, but a familiar offense. And they have talked about using him more as a pass catcher, which is what we hope to see here if you draft him. I'd be happy with having him as my RB2. At 18, Breece Hall, another guy who has a lot of controversy around him. If Dalvin Cook does sign with the Jets, I'd be replacing Breece Hall here with Dalvin Cook all day long and moving Breece Hall down. He's an amazing talent, but guys, he's coming off that torn ACL, and we've seen like time and time again guys who are not even a year removed from their torn ACL are never the same when they come back. If he's fully healthy, which he should be next year, I'd be happy to draft him, but this year I'm fading him, staying away from him. No, thank you. At 17, I have Kenneth Walker. Super optimistic about the Seahawks offense. This offense should be so fun to watch. They have so many weapons. I know they brought in Charbonnet, who I do think plays a role here, more so in the passing down role and maybe by the goal line, but I do think Kenneth Walker should be the main guy overall. Like, he's still good. He's still young. And like, he's shown us what he can do last year. He's electric, and I'd be happy with having him as my RB2. At 16, kind of similar to Kenneth Walker, I have ETN. This offense should be very, very good, and Travis Etienne should be the main guy here. I know they brought in Tank Bigsby, who I do think plays a role here, but Etienne should be the main guy. Should be a ton of opportunities to go around. Happy with having him as my RB2. At 15, I have J.K. Dobbins. So he's now 2 years removed from that knee injury, which is what we want to see as fantasy managers. Again, this offense should be electric. They have so many weapons, should be a ton of opportunities to go around. And with Todd Monken coming in, this offense should be a lot more high tempo. And I read and heard and seen a lot of things on how they plan on using JK as more of a pass catcher, which is, again, something that we really hope to see if we draft him. I'd be happy with having him as my RB2. Aaron Jones, like, what more can you say? He's just consistent, hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. He's a really good pass catcher. He's fun to watch. I do think this Green Bay Packers team will be pretty good this year, actually. I do think Jordan Love can step in and take over this team relatively well. And I do think Aaron Jones will just be the same Aaron Jones as what we've seen in years past. Again, happy with having him as my RB2, maybe even a low end RB1 if you want to stack other positions earlier. At 13, I have Joe Mixon. So last year, like he just manages to be a really decent running back. Like he's a low end RB1. His efficiency numbers are not very good, but he's just part of such a good team and such a good opportunity here. He catches a lot of balls. With P. Ryan now gone, he should see even more work, ton of work by the goal line. So yeah, happy with having him as like a low end RB1 here. Preferably RB2 if you can, but if you get him as your RB1, I think that's fine. At number 12, very similar to Joe Mixon, I have Najee Harris. Lots of controversy around him, but he should still see a ton of volume, a ton of work. His efficiency numbers aren't very good, but if he's getting the ball 20 plus times a game, like he should be able to produce pretty well. And I'd be happy with having him as a low end RB1. So that wraps up our video today. I went over who I have ranked 25 to 12. In my next video, I will be going over who I have ranked 11 to 1. So make sure to stay tuned to that. But if you like this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.